Do you believe Trump has been able to get this ceasefire done? Is the ceasefire on? Will Iran and Israel abide by it?
Hello, nice to be with you. Thank you very much for invitation. Regarding, excuse me for expression, this is really hard to use the word ceasefire because there is no ceasefire. And I mean, I have a neighbor who has a 6-year-old daughter, and if she announces a ceasefire, it would be as what Trump has announced the last night. Trump is boasting on the social media, that's all. Netanyahu, the same. The Iranian foreign minister is attempting to explain what is going on and their conditions. They are ignoring him and simply doing, the Israelis are doing their thing, continue doing their thing. So Iranian foreign minister has said if Israel stops at 4 o'clock in the morning, Iran is going to stop. Israel didn't stop, and that's it, no ceasefire. I mean, even if there is no agreement about the ceasefire, no kind of written document or anything of that kind. So, excuse me for expression, but all of this, what's steam about ceasefire, not what mentioned.
Why do you think then the US president, after all, is no ordinary figure? He made the same comment when it came to India, Pakistan. India had to refute, even though Pakistan went ahead and said we'll nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. He's doing it again. He's repeatedly tried to mention that I have managed this truce and ceasefire in conflict areas while we know that the war is still on the ground.
Because he is the most important person to himself and nothing else matters. And it is the same why he has involved the USA in this war with Israeli aggression on Iran. Because he became jealous that Netanyahu is attracting so much attention, therefore he must be now the peacemaker and deal broker and so on. And this is the only purpose he's doing all of this.
Do you believe Iran, while has refuted it already, will take a step back on this? Because Iran, with the Khamenei regime, says they'll go all after Israel and the USA assets as well.
What shall Iran do? It's Israel who is attacking Iran, not the other way around. Iran can only strike back. Or what shall they do? They should sit there and wait for Israelis to continue attacking them. There is no other option.
Let's talk about the images that came in a few hours ago, the night sky that was lit up even over Qatar when we saw the missiles coming in. Do you think this could, one, tell me about the missiles, the kind of airstrikes that we are looking at right now from Iran? And two, do you think that this could drag in other countries?
Well, of course it could drag into other countries. The question is how professional are politicians over there? I mean, U.S. strike on Iranian nuclear facility was an obvious show, striking empty facilities from which enriched material was evacuated already days before that. Iranians have had so much time to evacuate their facilities that they have even buried the entrances to Fordo, for example. So, I mean, this is not something that you are doing in a matter of 2 hours or something. You drive a bulldozer and then get a little bit of gravel and earth into this entrance. These are huge constructions. You have to move thousands of tons of material in order to bury them. So this has happened already 2 days before the US strike. And so what the Americans bombed, okay, nice, fantastic operation, flew from the United States all the way to Iran and reached actually these facilities. Iranians didn't even shoot back. So if somebody is considering this a serious military operation, fine with me. Then Iranians strike back at Al Udeid Air Base. This is a headquarters of the United States forces in the Middle East. Fired something like, well, if it was 20, I don't believe it was more than 20 missiles. Only one impact was recorded, that's it.
Exactly.
The air base was also evacuated already a week ago. So they hit also nothing. This was all show. And then Israelis continued bombing Iran. What shall Iranians do but continue rocketing Israel?
Tom, you know, I want to pick up from what you have said. So basically a missile strike, not many casualties, immediate ceasefire. You must have also caught on to this chatter that's coming up, even from experts, that was this a fixed match? between the USA, Iran, Israel combined to make it look like one, and then suddenly Qatar appears to come in for a ceasefire. How do you react to this term coming up in the past few hours, a fixed match?
There is no fixed match except a little bit between United States and Iran. The two are well, you're running show operations against each other. United States does not want to become involved or dragged into a war that is going to last for years. That is sure. Iran knows that it cannot counter U.S. Military power, so does not want to become involved, but has to strike back because it was attacked and hit. But actual war goes on. This is Israeli aggression on Iran. And this war is going on, as we can see from three-wave missile strike on Israel this morning, causing heavy casualties in Beersheba, hitting Tel Aviv, Ramat David air base, and several other places in Israel. This is what matters. What matters is that Israeli airstrikes continue throughout the night. Arguably, these airstrikes are run from far away, usually from outside of the Iranian airspace. Only Israeli UAVs are operating inside Iranian airspace, but nevertheless, they continue attacking Iran, and therefore Iran hit back, and that's it. I mean, all of Trump's announcements about ceasefire, this is all him trying to claim all the fame for himself. This is all that matters to Trump, while he's probably distracting from whatever he's doing at home in the United States.
So at this juncture, I also want to talk about the kind of missiles that are being fired from Iran as much, and that has led to some casualties like we are talking about in Beersheba, but also from Iran. Do you want to elaborate on that, this new attack that has happened from Iran just ahead of the ceasefire, when we saw the sky lit up even over Qatar? What kind of missiles are we talking about here?
Well, in the case of Qatar, they have fired shorter-ranged missiles with something like 500 kilometers range, lighter missiles. This was just a show operation. Again, there was no ceasefire. The announcements by Trump are null and void, as pointless, as I said, as if my neighbor's daughter has made them. It's the same word. What the Iranians are doing, or actually using against Israel, is a different caliber of weapons. There are three generations of them. There are older ones from early 2000s, which are less precise, liquid-fueled. Then there is second generation, which is still liquid fueled, but much heavier, much more precise, upgraded. And then there is the third generation, which is including hypersonic re-entry vehicles, which is very precise, which is regularly scoring hits in Israel, regularly causing heavy damage. What the Iranians are using, what they're trying to do is to hit selected spots in Israel. The problem for Iranians is that their IRGC is trying to hit targets of symbolic importance like Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Defense, and so on, instead of military targets. So there is a clash between these two schools inside the IRGC. The serious military school is trying to hit military targets like air defense sites. The typical IRGC school is trying to hit symbolic targets. And it is really hard to follow, which of the two groups is kind of in advantage on a given day. One day they hit one kind of targets, the other day another kind of targets. Some are interpreting this as mapping of the Israeli air defenses, and certainly there is that element as well. But essentially, down at the bottom, there is a clash of these two schools, with one demanding strikes on military targets and the other on symbolic targets, on propaganda targets. And it is every single day there is, a kind of a clash between them. And one can never say which one is on advantage this day or a disadvantage. But essentially, I said ballistic missiles, which are more sophisticated than those of Pakistan, for example, which are also longer ranged, which can deploy multiple re-entry vehicles, which means multiple warheads, which can also deploy cluster bomb units. We have seen several times deployed against Israel and so on. So it is a very serious threat what Iran has in its hands.
Tom, what are you picking about details, your assessment on the kind of damage of the US-run Al Udeid base in Qatar, because that also was a target, clearly, by Iran and its missiles. So what kind of damage are we looking at, if at all?
Well, probably one hit, as far as I know. I mean, I've spent now 2 hours checking what has happened, asking contacts, checking videos and so on. And all I've seen was one impact, and that's it. Where exactly at the base, I don't know. So it's hard to estimate what exactly was hit there or not. But that was a show operation. That was not a serious military operation, especially not in comparison to what Iran is running against Israel. The point was this: the USA hit us, so we are hitting back on the United States. The United States can say they have hit Iran. Excuse me.
Let's talk about the
Iran
three
can
figures.
say we have hit back, and that's it. That is a pure show. Sorry.
Pure show, you're saying. That's come in at this juncture. Let's talk about the three figures.
Show is the part between United States and Iran. Serious part is between Israel and Iran.
Let's talk about then the three figures leading these countries. It's a US President, Donald Trump, then Benjamin Netanyahu, and then Khamenei. Let's talk about these figures. How do you see them emerging right now? Who do you think has come out stronger when we talk about the narrative warfare? Who do you think perhaps at this juncture is trying to emerge stronger but is looking more as aggressive, is not helping ease down tensions? Let's talk about these three figures, because many have said that these three men at the helm of affairs could actually lead us to a World War III.
No, World War III, there is not going to be any kind of a World War III.
Okay.
I mean, look, I grew up in the 70s and 80s when US and Soviet submarines were colliding. US aircraft carrier collided with the Soviet nuclear attack submarine, when they were flying Soviet bombers all around Europe into the North Atlantic, and Americans were flying their bombers and reconnaissance aircraft into the Soviet airspace. So this was an entirely different situation. Or at least it's a different situation, what I consider as possibility of World War III. When there was 1983, there was a fake alarm in Soviet air defense system, and they almost launched an all-out nuclear strike on the United States. So this is serious. What is happening here is a local affair, actually, where Israel is trying to impose its will upon entire Middle East. They have this plan. This is documented by US military documentation since 1948, and to make it sure, since March 1948, third month of the year 1948. So that means before Israel officially came into being, that Israel is planning to establish itself in hegemony over entire Middle East. And what are they doing now is just a continuation of what they started to do in 1948. They do not care about freedom of Iranians. They do not care about some liberties or whatever. The only aim is they are better than anybody else, and therefore they have to be in control of everybody in the Middle East.
Do you not see Khamenei as an oppressive regime that possibly, because there has been a certain dissent and a crackdown that has happened in Iran as well? Because you say that you believe that Israel is the one, where Israeli aggression is the concern here.
Israeli aggression is the reason for this war. And this is going to remain a reason until somebody starts taking serious steps against what Israel is doing, which is dismantling the entire system of international law and order established in 44-45. United Nations Charter, custom international humanitarian law of war, Geneva Conventions, all of this is violated by Israel, and this is absolutely ignored by the West. And because West is ignoring it, Israel can continue as much as it likes. So,
or actually supporting Israel in many ways. The Western nations, in fact, have also been
absolutely
coming out
supporting,
in support.
They are absolutely
Israel.
supporting Israel without any kind of reservations.
Just two more questions, Tom. Yes, just two more questions.
Just to finish this, because I don't want the impression to emerge that I'm supporting Iran. I'm not. I'm just analyzing what is a matter of fact. We have a murderous regime, deeply corrupt in Iran as well. This is arresting oppositionals, assassinating or executing oppositionals, and so on. There's absolutely no doubt about this. So one can also discuss the impact of religion on both sides and so on. So
That's a fair
not,
point.
you know.
What about Russia and China? I want to understand. Russia's met Iranian foreign minister. How do you look at Russia's role here? China factor also has come in?
Quickly and simple, Russia is unimportant, but China is silently supporting Iran. One shouldn't forget that Iran is de facto a colony, economic colony of China, meanwhile, because it's exporting 80% of its oil to China, and it's paid in Chinese money for this, which means it can only, for money it is earning from selling oil to China, it can only buy Chinese products, nothing else.
And final question, because it concerns India, how do you look at India's role here? Do you think it should go ahead, play as a mediator? It should take a step back, protect its domestic interests, not really get into this war? Because both are our friendly allies, Israel, Iran as well. And of course, we have trade and interests with the USA.
You cannot become involved because with whom do you want to become involved? So my recommendation would be to stay out. Okay, you are importing lots of Israeli software and hardware for your armed forces. And what now? I mean, with whom do you want to become involved? With the US president who is running the country via the X or former Twitter? With Israeli president, or excuse me, for a minister president who is actually only after his own personal fame. He needs a war. He needs a permanent war in order to remain in power. Otherwise, he knows he's going to be removed. With Israeli population, 80 to 90% of which is supporting a genocide on Palestinians. With whom do you want to work over there? With the Iranian government, where Khamenei cannot even show in the public because he's constantly running away from Mossad's terror squads who attempted to assassinate him at least 5 times the last week. So with whom do you want to work over there? Stay out of this and watch it and enjoy it. Excuse me for expression.
Well, cannot say we enjoyed, but definitely tracking and looking at the developments as well. Tom, appreciate you joining us for all your perspectives and expertise as always for speaking to India today. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much. Goodbye.